Hi, I'm Beth. Welcome to my channel, YogiBethC, and thank you for joining me for this practice. So for today's practice, we're going to focus on lengthening laterally. Lateral means side. We're going to focus on creating long, lean side bodies. And lean, I just mean lengthened to the maximum of the muscle. By doing this, we're going to strengthen our core muscles and target some of those little muscles that go between the ribs, the intercostal muscles. That will actually help open up breathing in addition to helping us be taller and improving our posture. So I adapted this practice from a practice that I saw on Yoga International on their website. I'll link to that below if you want to check out that original practice. I added my own spin to some things here. You don't need any props, but you might want some. You might want a blanket. I have just a thin one here. You might want a couple blocks for when we move into the gate pose series, and that's going to be a focus of today's practice. We're going to start in a kneeling position for child's pose. So I'll turn sideways on the mat. As you come into child's pose, you can go right into it if you know the pose already. Touch your toes together and then widen your knees to the point that it feels comfortable for your body. So I usually like to do a really nice wide knee child's pose because it makes space for my body. And then as I place my hands down on the mat, I can slowly start walking my body forward, already thinking about creating length in each side. So I'm really going to reach out. Maybe even think a little bit about pulling my hands to help pull in between the ribs, those little muscles, getting my side body really long. And I could keep this up. You don't have to come down all the way. Or if you want to come down further, it's fine if your hips lift a little bit. Really focus on that length, that lateral length as you come down. And then wherever you are, remember to breathe here. Because part of what we're doing is creating more room to breathe. So really think about that. Breathe in and think about sending the air around the ribs. Breathing in and out through the nose will help you maintain a little bit more control of your breath. So let's take about 3 more breaths like that. Again, focusing on the length and the sides as you breathe in and out through the nose. I'm going to come up just a little bit. We'll take this into a lateral child's pose. So I'm going to walk my hands away from you. This is my left side. Shift my blanket. If you have a blanket there, that's fine. You can rest on the blanket. The blanket can also go under your knees. And I'm going to reach to the side, allowing my torso to come back down and reaching this inside arm further away so that I get length from the hip that's reaching the opposite direction, reaching this arm out in a diagonal. And I'm really feeling this from my fingertips all the way under through my armpit, along the side muscles, where my ribs are, down through my waistline. And then I'm going to walk my hands through center and come to the other side. So same thing, a little upright first so that you can reach. This time you're going to get a longer stretch on the opposite side. Almost pull as you crawl that arm a little bit further away from you. Send the hips back in the opposite direction. And then breathe and walk yourself back through center. And you can take a moment in child's to feel what you've done so far. Then we'll come up to hands and knees, firm foundation of hands and knees, fingers spread nice and wide. Knees are under your hips. Again, feel free to place a blanket under your knees if you need more cushion. And we'll move into some cat-cow. So in cat-cow, you're taking a forward bend action and a back bend action. You'll see as I arch up into cat, this is my forward bend action because I'm hinging here at the hips. And then as I allow my spine to come through center, moving the chest forward, this is my back bend action. So we're moving the spine forward and back, and that's really important. But as I do this, I also want to think about, again, still targeting that side body. So as I come forward into cat, I think about anchoring my tailbone, pressing my hands in the ground to feel that length even more along the side bodies. So I'm thinking about kind of actively pulling with my hands as if I could pull them along the mat toward me. As I pull, 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 feeling more length. There's not going to be a lot of movement there. It's just that sense. And then I'll come back the other way. And now my tailbone tucks toward the mat. My chin tucks in. And I'm really trying to think about deepening that arch on the sides. One more time in each direction. Feeling that as much as you can in your body. And then we'll come back through center, finding our tabletop. That's where our back looks flat, although it still has its natural curves. And now I'm going to look over toward my right hip, maybe kick that hip out a little bit as I look over my right shoulder. So taking that more directly back into one side and then the other way. Now here's where you can adjust. You can move the hands in to access this a little bit more, if that helps you to access that side body. A few more times on each side. And feel free to, give it a little shake and wiggle if you'd like. All right, we're going to stay on hands and knees. This time, though, I'm going to flip around to face toward you. Now, again, if you need to adjust, if you need more cushion under your knees, because we will be here a little bit, feel free to cushion under your knees or under your hands. Your hands can be on blocks, too. So hands come back down to the mat, knees back under hips. And now we're going to take one leg out to the side. So if you're mirroring me, it's going to be your right leg. From here, we're simply going to slide forward and back a few times. So you'll see that as I slide forward and back, my shoulders are coming forward more over my fingertips, and then as I rock back, they're coming behind. I'm not really moving my hips at all. It's moving with the motion of my body. And as you do this a few times, you might notice that you're getting some range in your hip joint as you passively move back and forth. And then find stillness. Find your spot where your shoulders are more over your hands once again. Take your same hand as extended leg, so your right hand if you're mirroring, touch around near your ear, maybe the fingertips behind your ear, and open your body toward your leg, a little bit of a spinal twist. And then exhale, elbow comes toward the inner arm. A few times like this. Open, breathe as you come in, either on your inhale or on your exhale. Open and come in. One more time, open. And this time on your open, you have the option to lift the top arm, maybe drawing the top shoulder blade back, gives you a little bit more twist on this side. This is our open twist. And then breathe, and now we're going to thread the arm underneath, palm up, for a version of thread the needle. Now you can simply clasp onto this arm and stay right here. You might be able to take it further. To do that, I need to adjust my outside arm a little bit. So adjust this pose however works for you. If your head starts to come down toward the floor, you can do that. Mine won't comfortably come to the floor here in this version. Make sure you're breathing so the breath is, remember, we want to use that breath to open up the sides or help us open up the sides. And if you adjusted your hands, walk them back in through center. Take that leg in, and maybe you need to come off your hands for a moment. That's totally okay. Wiggle your hands around, maybe a few more cat-cow, whatever you need to refresh your body before we go to the other side. Back down to hands and knees. Opposite foot comes out to the side. My toes are pointing toward you. That's where my foot feels comfortable. You might feel more comfortable with your toes pointing out. And then we'll start that just a little slide. If your back is a tabletop, your table is kind of going front and back. It's not going down or up. It's just moving on the same plane. Now, hopefully this feels good, right? We're looking for a sensation, but not pain, not anything sharp. You might notice something. I haven't done a lot of work with my hips today, so I notice that they're resisting me a little bit, but not to the point of pain. And then remember, we'll still that, find our three-legged table once again. Take your left hand, if you're mirroring, elbow out to the side. Hand just touches somewhere around the ear. I'm not grasping, just lightly touching. Open up into your open twist, feeling that twist around your rib cage area, your thoracic spine. And then breathe as you take your elbow in toward the opposite arm. Maybe it's here, maybe it's here, maybe it's a little touch. Open back up again. My hips are staying pretty still as I do this. Most of that movement is coming right around my spine, starting from about the belly button up and unraveling. And then one more up. And again, this time you can have the arm, it can stay right here. It can come to your hip. The only thing adding the arm does is maybe helps you think a little bit about drawing the top shoulder blade back a little bit more. But you still want that arm to stay above your body. So I don't want it to go back here. My body's not twisting over there. My body's about here. And then on my next breath, I'm going to dive under with that hand, coming into my version of thread the needle on this side. And I do like to move my hand out a little bit more. That just helps me use this hand to aid in the twist a little bit more. And breathe. And then walk your hands back in. Leg comes back in. And let's take a moment to do a little rest in child's pose. And you can do any version of child's pose you like here. Sometimes I like to place my forearms down and bring my forehead to them. If you want to stretch your shoulders a little bit, you can also place your elbows down, palms together, touch your thumbs to the back of your neck. So this is just a little rest before we do more work. Allow your rest to be whatever you need here. 1 or 2 more breaths in this short rest. And then walk your hands in so that you can come up to a standing knee position. So one more reminder, if your knees are starting to protest at all, place something under your knees to support. I've got 2 mats underneath already, so my knees are pretty well cushioned. You may want more than that. That's completely fine. Listen to your body. All right, we're going to take a leg out just like we did on hands and knees. So we were on a 3-legged table. Now we're going to be in standing knees with one leg out to the side. This is our setup for gate pose. This is one of my favorite poses. I love how it stretches the side of the body. This feels so good for me. Take a moment to adjust. So remember, your toes can be out toward me or more out to the side. That's just going to be the comfort level of this leg. My leg is fairly straight out from my hip. You might find that having your leg a little bit forward feels better. So not quite at a 45-degree angle, but just a little bit forward of the plane of your hips. You adjust so that you feel like you have a strong, stable base. Think of this as a kneeling mountain pose where we're trying to find our stability before we move. And then if your right leg is extended, rest your right hand on your right leg, reach your left arm up. We start here before we think about going over, because this is the length we're trying to create and keep throughout the pose. And as a side note, we really want to keep this side long too. So I notice I'm already going down a little bit to that side. I'm going to try to get length in both sides. I'm going to try to lift my waist, lift my rib cage off my waist, and then start to think about leaning toward the side, moving into a gate pose. And breathe here. So think about your arm as a little, well, it is an appendage, as an option to help with your stretch. If it's not helping your stretch, or if there's pain or anything going on with this upper arm, take a different position with the arm. You can bend so the hand is in that position we did before, elbow pointing up. And in fact, if I try to lift my elbow up more, that actually adds to my stretch here. And that's all we're looking for, is where do I get the best stretch without causing pain anywhere, not just here, but also in the arm. So if this is bothering me, then I can put my hand right here. I can even keep this hand down at my side, and I'm still getting a great side stretch. All right, let's take one more breath here and breathe as we come up, come tall again. Now we're going to reverse our gait to the other side. So the leg is going to stay extended. I'm going to be reaching down for the ground. Here's a place where you might want a block, or you can have 2 blocks or a chair here, or any other prop that gives you the right height. So I'll show you both. As I start to lean over, you can see that I'm pretty close to the floor, and I feel like I have control here, right? I can reach down for the floor without slamming into it or losing control. If your body's not going there today, grab your block, and your block can be on any height. It can be on this lowest height, and it makes a nice, strong, stable place. It can be on medium. So I'll show you some with, some without the block. I'm going to start right here, and I'm going to place my hand back to that position near the ear, elbow up, and we're going to do a little bit of that opening just like we did on hands and knees. So think about opening up toward the ceiling, maybe toward the sky, if you're lucky enough to be outside. So my elbow is slightly pulling back, but I'm really thinking about this width across my sternum, across my collarbones, lifting up toward the sky. And then come back, arm can come down. And I'll do this next with a block. I'm going to use it on the low position. And your hand can be flat or it can be tented, if that helps. So just make sure your fingers are strong if you have your hand tented. I'll place my hand flat. I'm going to put a little bit of weight into my hand, and you'll see that keeps my leg starting to drag toward me. And if I can, I'm going to float this leg off the ground any amount. I'm feeling a little resistance in here, so this leg is not going to go high today. This is a kneeling half moon. Your leg doesn't have to be high. And in fact, here's another little thing you can do with your block. If your hand comfortably reaches the floor, your leg is resisting, you can support your butt right on the block for this version of half moon, kneeling half moon. I'm going to float my leg up, reach my arm away, can stay right up or it can stay away. And now this last bit you can do with your foot on the floor, scooch my block out of the way, or with your foot floating. We're going to bend the knee, reach the knee and the elbow together, and then reach away. So 3 times. Remember, you can keep the foot on the floor as you drag it in toward your elbow. And back, and one more. I'll do the last one raised. In, stretch apart. So either with the foot down or up, stretch length on this side. You can point the toe away from you. We're not, the balance is a bonus, right? We're really looking for that stretch, that length. And then if the foot was up, draw it down, use those muscles on your side body to draw yourself back up. Beautiful. And we'll switch to the other side. So if you're using block, either block for foot or hand, adjust so that your block is in position. Take your opposite leg out to the side. Move things around so that you can still see my foot. All right, and you might have to adjust however you need it for your body to feel strong. That's what we're trying to do here. As we try to create long and lateral, we're still trying to be really strong. Find your kneeling mountain pose with your leg extended. Remember that the hand is going to rest on the leg. Your right hand's going to reach, and we're going to try to reach, especially this side, but also this side. We don't want to collapse in this side. We want to keep both sides some nice length, reaching from the knee, but you can think of it from the hip, the waist, through the armpit as your arm reaches up, and then down to the side, gate pose. Find your version of gate. That might be with the hand by the ear. That might be your hand staying on the hip. You can play around with this hand, reach it behind toward your thigh. That'll open up the side shoulder more, or the front of the shoulder as you're doing the side work. Yoga is so adjustable to individual bodies. And so in whatever gate pose you're on this side, take one more breath, thinking about expanding, growing long, and then use the muscles of your side to help pull you back to upright. Hand comes down, but leg stays out. And we'll move into the reverse gate variations that we did on the other side. Reach for the ground or the block with this hand. So you can take a moment to kind of bend and see. Does that really, I can't do it, I have to hit here. Where is your body? Can you reach so that your hand is down under your shoulder, your side bodies stay long? If not, props are your friend. Props actually help us feel the pose more in our bodies. They don't make it easier, they make our bodies get stronger. So once you have your side gate, take your hand to your head and we'll start to open up. You're drawing your shoulder blades together on your back. So this is a little bit of a back bend here. Think of your cow pose in this shape. Make sure you're breathing. And then draw the front body forward again. Hand can come down for a moment. So bottom hand can stay on the floor or on a block. Remember that we can use a block under our foot as an option too as we float the leg up. Not coming so high on the side either. So you might be able to go higher than me. Your leg might come, I have to really push it to get it there. Your leg might come parallel, maybe even a little bit more. This is our kneeling half moon. Well, we're not really trying to do a leg workout here. Trying to stretch along the side so you can stretch. Think about pushing your foot away in the opposite direction of your fingertips. And then the last bit here, bending the knee, bending the arm to come in toward each other. This will help with that little bit of core strength. You can do this from foot on the ground 2 more times. And you'll notice I'm not touching. You can try to touch. We don't want to kind of scrunch our body too much here. So if you can touch without throwing off your posture, go right ahead. And then last time to reach as long as you can reach today. Maybe point the toes on this last one or place the foot on the floor and help you reach away a little bit more. Beautiful. And then breathe. Use the strength that you've cultivated to help lift you up on this side. Really nice. Draw both knees in together. And we'll turn around and we'll rest in child's pose again to finish. I'll turn the other way this time. So remember, as we set up for child's pose, I'll show you if you'd like the blanket under your knees. You can think of the blanket as just kind of a little bit of extra padding for your knees. The blanket could also go, actually I think I'll do it this way. The blanket can also go right here on top of your shins, especially if you find that your bottom is not coming comfortably to your heels. Whatever version of child pose you want to do here, it might be lying on your back and doing a face-up child's pose. It's all good. Walk yourself out. Maybe notice if there's any difference from where we started this class. Can you feel that openness in your side bodies? Can you feel more length? You are welcome to stay in your child's pose for as long as you'd like. You can also flip onto your back and do more of a traditional savasana, a final relaxation, if you'd like that. Thank you so much for joining me for this gentle, slow yoga class today. You can see more of my gentle yoga practices right up here. Have a great day.